Chris Cardo back here with another video, man. And it is 2023. It's a new year for RC cars. And I am excited, to recap 2022. We had Traxxas release the Sledge. We had Traxxas release the XRT at the end of the year, that's what everybody's running right now. Don't have the dough to go out and buy a XRT, but I'll happily take one of Traxxas if you want to send it to me. I would love to review it for you. But hey, what a great year in RC. Arrma released they released the Vendetta 8 scale road car, along with the Infraction, the brushed and the brushless version. I thought that was pretty unique. And then they also released the Fire Team, which a lot of people complained about it being overpriced, which I'm one of the people who paid that overpriced price to get one because I really wanted it. And, pretty hurt come around Christmas time when they were on sale for like 400, 500 bucks. And I think I spent like 800. So yeah, it was a little bit overpriced, but yeah, it was something new from Arrma. Arrma was trying to do something different, so you got to give them credit for that. The body and everything like that. Some people have feelings about the body. I like the body. I think the body on the Fire Team is spectacular. I think it's a spectacular body if you're bashing. Some of the panels and stuff may wear out, but what I found is that you can pretty much buy those panels piece by piece. You don't have to buy the whole body as a kit. Now the cage itself, if you had to replace that, it'd be pretty expensive. So altogether, you're like a $70 body. So it is somewhat of an expensive RC. But I like the RC. The RC runs great. It's a great RC. It's not a huge jumper, which I know a lot of people complain about the Fire Team not being a very good, frogger, something that you can throw, 10 feet up in the air and watch it land over and over. Of course, I've seen people do it. So personally, it doesn't affect me one way or another because I don't jump my cars 25 feet in the air anyways. And hardly really jump them at all anyway. So really, it's a perfect RC for me for how I drive. I'm, full blast, cutting and ripping in grass or dirt. Not really jumping a whole lot. If I do, I'm setting up my kids' bicycle jumps or something like that, and maybe jumping them off that, but not jumping it that much. So pretty good release by them. They also released another Arrma Limitless, the version 2, which I believe is very similar to version 1, except this one came with, instead of a center diff, it has a spool in the center, and then it has the tires in the rear are a little bit like millimeters further apart, or basically wider, to give you a little bit more traction. But other than that, that was pretty much the release for most RC cars. I know Losi had released some cars as well. Losi just released the new drag car. Don't do a lot of drag racing. I think it'd be pretty cool to have one, but I'm not much of a racer in terms of drag or anything like that. So I don't have any drag cars. All I have is pretty much bashers, road bashers and basher. I have 2 Typhons, Limitless, Vortex, Creighton 8S, and I do have the Losi V100 69 Chevy. And I literally bought that car just for the body and just to have like a smaller road car that I can mess around with if I don't feel like charging up 2 3S batteries or a 3S pack. I can just throw like the nickel metal hydrate in there or a 2S battery and just go. Other than that, I know Proline released the tires, the Toyo Proxies for the Felony and the Infraction or Limitless. And those tires are awesome. I recommend them. Haven't seen anybody use those really in speed runs yet, other than RC Kings. But other than that, I haven't really seen a whole lot of people use those, but I think it'd be a perfect tire for that. depending on how fast you're going. I don't know if you're like Raz or whatever and you're trying to go to like 200 miles an hour. I don't know if they'll hold up to that, but I would like to see him try it if he hasn't already. But that's not why I'm getting on here to make this video. I want to make this video because I'm hoping that we get some very good releases this year from Arrma and from Traxxas and from Losi. And I'm expecting Arrma to drop a new vehicle soon. I think it's going to happen soon. I just have that feeling. It just feels right. The question is what are they going to release? Because the V2 is basically a revision, and I didn't even talk about their 4S Outcast and Creighton that they released last year that apparently went off the shelf right after they made them the first time for whatever reason. But yeah, I'd be interested to see, is Arrma going to reinvent the wheel some this year, which we saw that last year. Like they kind of reinvented the wheel with the 4S lineup, but they also gave us something new. Like they gave us a Vendetta, they gave us the mini infractions, they gave us the fire team. They gave us the TR tuned Typhon, plus the ready to run model Typhon, which to me, I feel like they kind of did that kind of backwards. I feel like they should have released a ready to run and then release the roller, but I mean, who am I to judge? But I'm just curious, like, is Arrma going to release something new and different this year? Which I think they will. And what is that going to be? I'm voting on a 5th scale road car, but I guess that's what brings smiles to my face the most is road cars, being able to go out and drift and, burn some rubber. Can be expensive to run, but I like running them. And so I'm curious, like they're going to have a 5th scale road car, maybe a giant size like Limitless or a giant size Felony or something, or do they just maybe change or revise what they've already done to the infraction and the Felony? Like that's a good question. And like, is there going to be a version 2 or, well, there already has been a version 2 of the infraction, but in terms of the Felony, like I think it's on version 1 right now, right? Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, but it's like version 1 or version 2. So I do got to think that somewhere along the line, they're going to make some revisions to some of these cars, which I wouldn't call that a new release. I'd just call that an update. So what are they going to be doing? That's my curiosity. Like, are they going to be, or maybe they come out with another fire team. What if they come out with a 5th scale fire team? Or what if they come out with a 10th scale fire team that, is a little bit more budget friendly for people who wanted the fire team, but didn't want to pay the asking price for, the 7th scale model? What if they just release like a 4S version? Like they got a 4S Creighton and Outcast, where they have a 4S version of the fire team, or, maybe even a 3S version. I think that would be pretty cool. One change that I would love to see them make though, is especially for their 5th scale cars, which I have the Creighton 8S, and I'm not a big, I don't bang up my cars that much. I would say I'm pretty friendly on my cars compared to most people that I've seen on YouTube driving these things. But the Creighton 8S, and the one thing that X-Max and Traxxas has really gotten right is they didn't add a whole bunch of weight to their vehicles, which is why I think the X-Max and the XRT, minus the wing mount for the XRT, have been very durable platforms and very durable cars. Because the chassis is not aluminum. And when you get these, basically these Arrma cars from, you might as well say 6S and up, all have an aluminum chassis. And once you bend it, and you got to buy a new one. So then I'm curious as to, do they take something out of Traxxas's playbook, especially for like the Outcast and your bigger, 5th scale bashers? Do they take something out of the playbook and maybe, construct something that's a plastic chassis similar to like their 3S and 4S line that would be more durable in the long run, and also hopefully make some of the parts cost a little bit cheaper. I'd be curious. I would keep an eye on that this year, because a lot of people had issues bending a lot of those aluminum chassis on the previous models. And I don't know that just because something is bigger means that it needs to have more metal. I think that it's a good thing, but it's a bad thing. Because like I said, once you bend something, you've bent it. There's no going back. With plastic, you crack it, you can probably keep using it until it breaks all the way, or, even if it breaks, you're probably looking at, maybe 20, 30, 40 bucks at most to replace it. And you're putting everything back together, whereas those aluminum chassis are up to 60, 70, 80, 90, $100, especially if you go with some of the better ones. So I'm interested to see what Arrma's going to do this year. I think that they're going to do what they always do, which is surprise us a little bit and hopefully bring something fresh to the table, but hopefully learning from 2022 as well, right? Like not dropping a vehicle that's like $800 for a 7th scale, off-road car. I don't know. And that's not really jumping or really doing anything much better than the rest of their lineup other than handling. I will give that car that. The fire team handles better than any other off-road vehicle that they've ever made. I don't care what anybody says. Like, you say whatever you want about the fire team. You can say it costs too much. You can say this and that. But when it comes to 7th scale Arrma vehicles and what they've made so far that runs off-road, the fire team handles better than anything that they've made. And that includes the Mojave, in my opinion, because the Mojave, in my opinion, is a different class of its own, because it's a short course truck. You know what I mean? Like it's going to handle the way a short course truck is supposed to handle. But for an overall, like, we're getting out in the yard, we just want to run it around, you really can't beat the fire team at what it does. Now, if you want to get into jumping it and sending it as far as you can send it, double backflip, fire team's not your best option for that. Probably a Creighton would probably be your best option for that, or even, a Traxxas car. Traxxas cars are fantastic for that. I just don't own a Traxxas because when I started in this hobby, my first car was a Typhon. So therefore, obviously, I got Spectrum Smart batteries and I got a Spectrum Smart charger. And so at that point, I was like, well, I'm kind of going to be in this Arrma thing for a while, regardless of what it is, because I don't want to spend the money on additional chargers and additional batteries that Traxxas would require me to have in order to run those vehicles, which I know you can get other batteries, but once you're it's like Android and Apple, right? Like once you're set up on one platform, it's just easier to stick with the one platform than to go out and try to get everything else to solidify to be on the other platform. So I will eventually in the future. I do have plans to get an X-Max in the future. I think it would be a good thing to have part of my collection. But for $1,000 and plus another extra 200, whatever it would cost, 250 for me to get the batteries and the charger, that's just not money that I have to spend right now. And I have plenty of RCs that I can drive and still get a big, huge smile from my face from. So I'm okay with that. And maybe one day I'll save up and be able to pocket my pennies to get one of those. But let me know in the comments, guys. Like, I want to hear from you guys. Like, what do you think that Traxxas and Arrma and Losi, what do you think that they're going to release this year? And let me know about other makers too, like Red Cat Racing. I know there's some other, RC makers out there, Kiyoshi. Like, if maybe Arrma releases a Mini Z, or something along those lines. Maybe they really shock us and go really, really small, right? But I want to hear from you guys. Like, what do you think Arrma's going to release this year? Do you think that, let's take some wild guesses in the comments. You think they're going to release a car that's, maybe a few road cars this year that are fresh and new, or just revisions of what they already made already? Because I think we're getting to that stepping stone there to where it's very possible we may not see maybe but one or two brand new Arrma vehicles this year that we haven't seen, and then everything else that they release is going to be a revision of what they've already made. So let me know. I want to hear from you guys in the comments. I know Traxxas does a lot of revisions. They don't make much new stuff, but hey, maybe this is a year for Traxxas to step on the pedal and really deliver something new that would really get people excited about, you know, wanting to own a Traxxas. Not that they don't already do, but, you know, just saying, like, they can throw some other things out there, like they threw out the Sledge and the XRT. So I'd be interested to hear from you guys. What do you think they're going to release this year? And also put in the box, like, put in the comments, like, not only what you think, but what do you want them to release? Like, what do you want to see from these companies? What type of vehicles are you driving on a daily basis that you want to see? Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button, hit that notifications bell, so that way you can tune into more of my videos and tune in some of the videos that I'm going to be uploading in terms of me running my vehicles. And we'll catch you next time. Holla at you.